Goats are getting kicked. Hey farm fam, welcome back to my channel. For those of you that are new, welcome and welcome to today's video. So as you guys know, we've been doing some upgrades to our barn, like installing our Dutch doors, and you guys know over the past couple weeks it's been such a big project, and through that process the barn has become a really big mess. As you can see right here to my left are all of our wood scraps and a lot of our tools and just the things that we were using, and then over here to my right our barn is just really dirty from all the hay and such. And then we have some more tools like our little stool right here. Anyways, you guys get the gist. Over the last couple of weeks we've been working so hard in the barn that we've kind of neglected being able to clean the barn. So I thought it'd be nice to bring you guys along a little clean my barn with me. It's not going to be like a super deep clean in this video, but we do need to replace shavings and stalls just because we are working in the stalls. Metal shards could be in them. Wood shavings, I know that's weird, but I mean like the actual like wood shavings from the wood, bigger chunks and things like that. So we are just gonna start fresh with that and just really get this barn back to a state of being in order because it's just in such disorder right now. So if you guys are excited for today's video, if you guys are excited to come along and clean the barn with me, make sure you go ahead and give this video a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel down below. Make sure you turn on those post notifications so you don't miss any of these videos, and of course every chance my post notification shout out. All right guys, well let's get to cleaning. We went and got new shavings today. I always use these ones. These are the Queen horse bedding easy sip. So that's what we're gonna be using today. But here's a little overview of the barn right now. Our hay storage is looking pretty crazy right now. As you can see, if you guys pretty much keep up with my channel, you know that this is a reoccurring event over in this hay area just because it's hay and it gets everywhere. This is what the alleyway is looking like in detail. First, need to spread the manure that we already have in our spreader because we're going to be filling it with more manure. The goats are not happy about the spreader. It's okay, goat. So yesterday I actually started to muck out the stalls completely, taking everything out just because I wanted to make sure that there was no metal in the stalls. So I already did that. I just need to clean up any manure that they left in their stalls pretty much overnight and today. So this is what I mean because I took the shavings out yesterday. So there's the manure that's just, I go, look at him, he's so cute. Oh goodness. So we just have to clean up situations like that before we can put the new shavings in. I'm gonna go ahead and clean this, broom it out as best as we can, and get all the stalls prepared for new shavings. Okay, so the stall is as clean as I need it to be for now. And the goats really wanna come back in. But I think it looks good. It is ready, technically, for shavings. Kicking myself a little bit for not keeping the shavings in here because this is where wet pee is technically still. If we were deep cleaning it, I would scrub the floor, but I'm not deep cleaning the barn today. Just doing a good old normal, regular clean of the barn. Right over it. That was a mistake. So now that we've had these Dutch doors, a new part that we have to now clean are these little steps that we have because they're obviously walking on them, so they're getting a lot of dirt, sand, and manure on them. So I'm just gonna open the door and sweep it out to the pasture. But since we have stall mattresses, I like to use the broom and just sweep everything, especially when we are cleaning all the shavings out, just because it makes it a lot easier. And then Mike will follow behind with our scoop shovel and get all of the remaining shavings and debris out of the stall. So this stall and Trigger stall are the only stall that I didn't take like every bit of shavings out because the goats basically are the only ones that are really hanging out in the stall right now. So there's a lot of goat pebble poop, but that's pretty much for this stall. And then Trigger had a lot of shavings, which you'll see when I do his next. And I just didn't want to waste all the shavings, and he keeps his stall really clean anyways. So during the week, we don't have to take out nearly as much of shavings when we clean stalls like we do the other horses, so that's why he has so much more shavings left. So I'm just regular mucking out his stall and then sweeping all of the shavings to the back just so the area with pee can dry up. And also when I add my new shavings, I'm gonna add them on top of these old ones. Now that all the stalls are clean, we actually moved out all the horses into the pastures just so that they weren't in our way during this, and I wanted the stalls to completely dry out while we're finishing cleaning the barn. So while that's happening, I'm taking out all the water buckets of the stalls. I actually just cleaned these with soap not too long ago, but since we had a lot of debris happening in the barn with dust and sawdust from doing the Dutch doors, I just want to start them fresh with clean water buckets. So as you can see, I'm just dumping out any of the water that's in the buckets outside of the Dutch doors, and this is super convenient rather than having to bring it all the way through the alleyway of the barn, because these buckets can get really heavy when they're filled with water. Cash hasn't been back here in a while, so they're running. So pretty. Oh my gosh, he's jumping everywhere. What are you two doing? Goats are getting goats are getting kicked. What is that donkey doing? So I've got my feeding water buckets, and I'm just gonna let them soak while we clean the next part of the barn. But I just scrubbed these the other day, and you guys can see how dirty they got already. So it's really important to make sure that your buckets are always clean so you don't have any bacteria that you're giving to your horses. After my first rinse here, I'm just dumping out the buckets, and then I'm gonna refill them up so that they can soak, and I'm gonna put some of this Orvis paste in them. While the buckets are soaking and the stalls are drying, we're gonna work on the back of the barn. It's not necessarily the barn, but I do consider it that because it all goes hand in hand. And it's been growing like crazy back here because of all the rain that we're getting. And I just don't like the way that it looks. Like my chicken coop, that's obviously not in use, is just getting out of hand. And then all of this mess over here from when we were painting the barn. So we need to tackle this. So Mike's actually gonna start to work on this, getting all of this cleaned up, while I use my little weed eater right there and I make this all look better because it's been heavily neglected, and I really just don't like the way that it looks, especially since the view from the barn is back here, and I just want it to look good. For a while the goats were trimming all of this for us, but now since they don't ever come back here and it's summertime, it gets really crazy, and I just really want it to look really good back here because we do use this space a lot. Is finally reinstalling the back gate back here. It's been uninstalled for quite a bit because we took it off while we were painting the barn. So this is what the back is looking like. It looks so much better. Obviously there's a lot of like the trimmings of the weeds everywhere, but they'll get kind of washed away once we get another rain. But it doesn't look like a crazy jungle back here anymore, so that's good, and it's a lot more cleaned up. We put these pieces of wood over there because they're rotted, and the goats decided to stand on them, which that brings me to a point that I'm going to talk about in a little bit with that wood over there. But we did move the chicken coop back just a bit, just so this could be put there. That's our old spreader, you guys. We're supposed to fix it up, and I don't know, it just has a couple things wrong with it, and I wanted to fix it up, and then we were going to try to sell it. Mike, as you guys saw, try to use the weed whacker and get as much of that as possible. Over the weekend we'll chop it all with actual like shears, but this is what it's looking like so far. And then this mess. So this works really good and really bad because there's pavers under here, if you guys remember when we installed them. But since there's pavers here and this is where our mucking cart goes, oftentimes when we dump our wheelbarrow into here, it goes everywhere. But now onto the good part is that it's super easy to muck this up because it is pavers, so I can just run my shovel right underneath it and it works just fine. I probably won't get it perfect today, but I'm gonna clean it up just a bit, and then over the weekend again, I'll make it a lot better once I have more time. It looks so much better now. This is what I do like about it being pavers, because when it was just like rock and ground, I guess I should say, we could never get it fully cleaned of the manure. It was just everywhere. So at least we have the ability to clean it. I think it looks really good. Now it's time to move on. The sun is setting, so it will be dark pretty soon. The buckets have been soaking the whole time that we were out cleaning the back, and now that we're done, I'm gonna go ahead and rinse these out so that they can dry while we do the next step, which is filling all the stalls back up with shavings. I'm just letting the buckets dry over on this side of the barn where it's dry. Now for shavings, each stall has been getting 2 bags of shavings. It's just the way that I've liked doing them lately. So I'm just dropping all the bags in the stalls before I go ahead and open them. It's just the way I like to do it. I don't know. When you have 5 horses and this many stalls, I like to do things in a system. So all the stalls are gonna get 2 bags except for Trigger. I think I'm just gonna do 1 bag since he already has so many shavings, and I'll just keep the second bag for when he starts to run low. When we dump our shavings, we always dump them into 2 separate piles, or however many bags that we end up using, and then I like to go in with my broom and just sweep the shavings around. It's the easiest way and the most uniform way that I like to do it. I feel like everyone that has horses and puts new shavings in their stalls always has their own way to do it, and for some reason this is just the way that I like to do it. I get a lot of questions on why I only fill half the stall with shavings, and I have a couple answers for that. Is because 1, I don't like there to be manure and horse pee all around the stall if I don't have to. If I put it in the back of the stall, it still gives them room to get away from the manure and the pee, because my horses really like to lay down. So doing it that way gives them the opportunity to lay away from the pee and the manure. And secondly, my horses move around in their stalls a lot, so they end up pushing the shavings forward, and if I keep them farther back, it takes them a little bit longer to get them all the way forward and out of their front of their stall. So multi-purpose here, but that's just the way that I like to do things. I know everyone does different things, but this is what works for us and just the way that I like it. I know I said earlier that we were only adding 1 bag of shavings to Trigger's stall because he already had old shavings in it, but I wanted his to be extra cushy as well because everyone else got 2 bags. So I went ahead and we put the last bag of shavings in his stall. One of the final pieces is cleaning the alleyway and this hay storage area. We always wait till the end to do this just because it tends to get even more messy as we're cleaning everything out. And then it's also really satisfying at the end to see it all come together when this is completely clean. So like I said earlier, I was gonna mention something about goats and wood. So in my last video, when we finished with the Dutch doors, I was talking to you guys about what I was gonna do with this wood. And I'm thinking for now that I'm gonna hang on to it, see if maybe I can build like the goats some type of little tower or something so that they can jump on it. Our goats really don't jump on a lot of stuff, but we'll see if they want to. So we're gonna go ahead and store this for now. I think we'll leave it here and clean it up, or I'll bring it to the back behind the barn. I don't know yet, but you guys will see what we decide when we're cleaning. So I'm starting by moving every item like out of the alleyway, including buckets, pitchforks, the wheelbarrow, hose, just getting everything out of the way that will prevent us from completely sweeping the barn out. And even doing this already makes the barn look way cleaner because it's less cluttered. As I was digging through the hay, I realized I need to be very soft because I found some treasures, some farm treasures. Oh, there's another one. Oh my gosh, look at this. So many eggs. Guys, I actually think there's a cracked egg in there. Yep, this one's cracked. Okay, this whole chunk has yolk on it, so I'm gonna get rid of that really quick. I'm assuming that this is just the beginning of these eggs. I'm gonna go ahead and give this to Cookie and Chippy and see what they think about egg. Eggies. Oh my gosh, those didn't even crack. There we go. Try it. Cookie. Try it, or Chippy. They're smelling it. All piggies love eggs. Chippy's trying to get the one that's not even cracked open yet. We brought the goat hay feeder in the barn so that I can fill the feeder up with all the loose hay just so that it gets repurposed. Decided that we're just going to keep the wood where it is because it doesn't make sense to haul it to the back of the barn just for it to be stored there. It just seems like a lot of work for nothing. So we're going to keep it where it's at. We're just going to make the piles a lot neater. So it's super dark out and my horses are not happy. They want to eat, but this takes a long time. But this is what it's looking like right now. The wood is nice and stacked. We just have a little bit left to sweep out. At the end, I have my pile there. I gotta get rid of that. And then we gotta blow the barn with my handy dandy leaf blower. And then this barn will be back to nice and clean. So excited. I love when the barn is clean. All the water buckets are dry, so it's time to put them back. This is like one of the last things that I do because if I do it too early, a lot of the dust from all the excess hay, shavings, and everything else ends up in the water, and my horses are actually really picky about their water bowls. Trigger won't even touch the water in his water bucket if it's not cleaned out like every other day. So we just like to make sure that their water buckets are really clean. So I like to do this last, and then I just fill them up so they're all ready for the night. This is what the barn is looking like. As I showed you guys in the beginning, not a deep clean, but a sort of slightly deep clean. There's still a lot more that we have to do to make it a lot cleaner. Over the weekend, I'll move these mats and get all the dirt and sand out of there. And I want to really soon get like the rest of the dust off of here. A lot of it came off actually when Mike was sawing off this just because of the vibration. But this is the overview. It looks so good, and I figured you guys can just come along with us to try to get our horses in through their stalls. See if they'll listen because it's pretty late, so they're probably not gonna be happy and wanna come in like this, in an orderly fashion, I should say. But we will try it. Now we just need Mary to come in. She should. There's like no one in the room, so come on. Whoa. Fast. Trigger's the only one that's in his correct stall. These two are a little jumbled around, but that's okay because we still have to move them around. Right now we're just kind of feeding them because these two that are out in this pasture have to go back out for the night anyways. Let's see how this works because the goats and Dinky are gonna try to come in. That went well. So that also went well, a lot better than I thought it was gonna be. Dinky and the goats stayed out with some distraction, so we're gonna feed them, and then the goats and Dinky come in after we're done feeding them and they go out. But everyone, that worked out really well, and I really actually liked getting them in through there. All right, you guys, well, this is many hours of cleaning this barn, but I don't mind it at the same time because it's super satisfying, and I absolutely love when my barn is clean. So if you guys can hardly hear me, because the pigs are very excited right now because everyone got fed, and I think they forgot that they already got fed earlier in the day. Anyways, as we work through that, I love when my barn is clean. It just makes me a lot happier when I come out here and it's not as stressful. I love coming out to my barn because it's something that relieves my stress, but when it's really messy and cluttered and disorganized, it's more stressful. So I really like when my barn is clean. So it gives me a lot of satisfaction when we actually clean it, even though it takes a long time when we do these. But that's what all goes into it with owning horses. It's not always butterflies and rainbows and riding horses and all that. This is like a huge part of having horses, and I always try to show you guys the not glamorous side of having horses, because horses are a lot of work. And it's literally 10:18. I started at 5 a.m. so it was about 5 hours it took to do this. So it's a lot, but it's worth it if you guys like horses like I do. If you guys liked coming along and cleaning my barn with me, make sure you go and give this video a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel down below. Make sure you turn on those post notifications so you don't miss any of these videos, and of course if a chance to my post notification shout out. Today's shout out goes to, all right you guys, well we love you and we'll see you in the next one.